So they're hoping to take 2 of 3 in this series before they come back home. The weekend series against the Nationals. And then into next week, they'll host the Kansas City Royals, who I think are doing okay this season. It's always kind of back and forth with the Royals. They used to be kind of perennial ball busters, but then they were kind of back and forth. But I think they're an okay team this season. I haven't really been keeping my ear to the ground on the Royals. But they got an away series against the Marlins coming up. They'll go to Cincinnati to play the Reds, go up to Toronto before the Mariners come here. So tonight, 8:40 is first pitch on MMS. 3rd of 3 in Denver against the Rockies. You know, they call Denver the Mile High City because everybody smokes pot there. My understanding. Mm-hmm. Alan, I thought Mary meant that the camera on her laptop added 10 pounds to the bag. No.
Yes.
You silly goose.
That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The camera that's built into my laptop.
And by the way, for people who are asking, who are interested, yes, you do have to have Instagram to watch this.
Oh, yeah, you do have to have Instagram. I don't go live on anything
where
else.
It will be.
In order to go live on multiple platforms, you have to have multiple phones or multiple recording. I didn't know that. So, like, when people go live on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok all at the same time, they generally will have 3 recording devices, which I do not have.
There's different programs that you can do it, but you got to do it through, like, a laptop or something, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to do that, but you have to, like, get certain software. Real fun thing to talk about.
Well, Bonus Hole Live, 8 p.m. tonight. Not that you guys care, but and I'm sure you didn't see it, while we're talking about gambling, did you see that they are trying to pass a bill to raise the amount that you get taxed on slot machines? This is a big deal. This is a big deal.
Did you get taxed on what, casino winnings?
Yes. It's currently $1,200. If you win over $1,200 on any slot machine, you automatically, you have to pay taxes on it.
This would be a federal law.
Yeah, and they're trying to raise it to $5,800.
That's a huge jump.
It's because it hasn't been raised since the 80s or something like that. So that's to account for inflation and everything, it would jump from $1,200 to $5,800, which means that if you hit for anything less than $5,800 in one spin, you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, that's good news for inveterate gamblers.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
But I was also wondering, I wonder if that means that casinos will start paying out more money because they'd be losing all the money on taxes. So if they would, reprogram the machines to pay out on a more frequent basis so that they can still make some money off of the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that recently. You guys don't care. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I get it, but I just don't. It doesn't affect me.
No, it's great. Listen,
it does, actually, because a lot of those taxes go to, schools and stuff.
Air quotes.
Well, the Ohio Lottery does.
Yeah.
Air quotes.
They always find a way to grab a handful for themselves.
Whatever.
Before I move off the topic of baseball, an historically bad team that happens to be mine is playing on the south side of Chicago. A team called the White Sox. They are 15-41, and they have historically poor attendance too, as you can expect. And so you got to make the game exciting for yourself. And they got a guy on camera who was pulling a George Costanza. Remember when Costanza was at the U.S. Open and they got him on camera just inhaling that hot fudge sundae? And it was all over his face. They got a dude at the White Sox game. Of course, I don't have to tell you that the White Sox are getting beat. This part of the game's bottom of the 6th. It's 4-1 Toronto. And they get this guy on camera just sitting there with his boys, but he is jamming his face into what looks like a bowl of nachos. Guy is high as balls, very clearly. This dude is blazed out of his gourd. And just, anyway. Yeah, man.
Yeah, just something. The game's
stuck
not
his.
good.
That's what I'm saying. Just stuck his face in a bowl of something.
One of my favorite videos of all time is Nacho Girl, where when the camera goes on her, this is when they were still the Indians. I believe her name is Danielle, and she just starts scarfing nachos. If you go on YouTube, you can probably find it.
Nacho Girl.
But she knows the camera's on her. She's playing to the camera.
Foul ball knocks nachos out of fan's hand.
No, not that one.
Cleveland Indians Nacho Girl.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see that.
That's not on there?
No, I don't see it. No. The guy there at the Sox game referenced Mustard Man. That was a guy that they interviewed a few years ago at the Sox game. A dude that they, in as much as Mary is very much not into mustard.
No. Well, Mustard the person. Again, Mustard the condiment I have no problems with.
Yeah.
Mustard Man. You are now. Bill Baptist is your real name. But yeah, you were here last year and you had mustard all over your face. Yes. And you became a celebrity because of it.
Yes, coast to coast.
See, they thought he was a good luck charm in the prior season.
I was on a Today Show. I can't go anywhere anymore, Chuck, without people saying to me, "Are you the Mustard Man?" I went to a bar at the Dells once, and I said, "You're the Mustard Man." I can't. I'm an instant celebrity, and it's difficult because I'm too famous now.
Maybe it's the hat.
I was going to say, never mind the fact the guy's wearing a hat that says Mustard Man. That's why I'm always fascinated by people who, even if you get famous virally, you still have to think about all of the people who haven't seen your viral video.
Right.
So when people go, everywhere I go, somebody goes, hey, it's that guy. I'm like, bro, I wouldn't know you if I bumped into you on the street.
All right, I emailed you Nacho Girl.
This is from last season?
This is from 5 years ago.
Oh,
6
5 years ago.
This is a while ago.
Okay.
But she just goes crazy.
Oh, because the camera's on her? She
Yeah.
just starts housing nachos?
She stands up.
Great.
And goes,
Her comment is, greatest achievement of my life.
yeah.
All right, well, there you go. Just stuffing her face.
I'm proud of her for that.
And the guy next to her is like, you never treat me like that. You never jam
Would
me
you
in.
want to be treated
I think
like
they're
that?
married now. I think they're doing.
Oh, that's
just
what did
fine.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You want to be married to a big star.
Yeah, you wanted this.
Greatest achievement of my life. And this is after I got married.
Mm-hmm. Listen, a lot of people get married. Not a lot of people house nachos out of a baseball helmet on a big
Yeah, understood.
on a big screen.
Understood. One of my brothers in broadcasting is getting slagged.
Whoa.
A guy who our buddy, our boss Rob probably knows who Fred Toucher is.
Oh, that's already a bad name.
Yeah, this isn't going to be good.
Well, he
You guys
spells
ever do a
it.
show together?
His Toucher and Cox. No,
I was gonna call it. I was gonna call it Alan and Fred, but
we've crossed paths over the years, and he was doing nights at a radio station in Atlanta that wanted to hire me to do mornings, and I ended up going home to Chicago instead. But then he would go to Boston. He got hired to do a show at WBCN, which is a big. And now he, last couple of years, he and another guy do a sports show in Boston, and it's very, very popular. But he played an old interview of him talking to Bill Walton when he hung up on him. And everybody's saying, this guy's classless. Mind you, this is a very, very successful show there in Boston. And, but again, Fred is a guy who he's had his issues over the years, too. He's been into rehab a couple of times. You know, he can't manage to hang on to a sidekick. They don't get along. But everybody's giving him a hard time because he's like, yeah, play the clip. He's dead. What do I have to do with it? But isn't that what people want from sports radio? I mean, sports radio is supposed to kind of be like that.
what, hanging up on?
Well,
a dead
because
guy?
his point was Bill Walton only wanted to talk about Luke Walton.
Uh-huh.
His son was with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And the Lakers beat the Celtics.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to talk about this.
Okay.
Everybody's giving him a hard time, saying that, oh, Bill Walton was great. And how dare
He called in and he was acting the fool about his son on the Lakers, and they said, "Oh, you know, first of all, you gotta buy a Jeep Wrangler."
First of all, that is a great Bill Walton. I'll give it up for that. Fantastic Bill Walton.
I thought that was Bill.
Yeah, but he was like, but while he was selling cars, like, make up your mind, you phony hippie. Like, are you really selling cars, or are you all about peace and love?
That's why I'm not sure if it's the day.
I think Hardy, you might be onto something. I think
Just go ahead. He's dead. It's nothing. I didn't kill him.
That's what I'm about. Because even though I'm a Celtic, even though the Celtics gave me my life back 25 years ago, more importantly, I'm a dad. It's not about me. I want what's best for our son. And to see that...
All right, well, you're rooting for the Lakers. Goodbye. I'm not going to take a guest who's celebrating the team that just beat the Celtics. I mean, your kid's on the team. Congratulations.
I don't see what the big deal is. I think that's kind of funny. But people are giving him a hard time. Saying it was terrible to have replayed that. How dare you hang up on Bill Walton? I don't listen to sports
radio. Who are the
radio,
people that are mad about this? Because it's not Boston.
Yeah. People in Boston are upset. Yeah, and I was like, what happened to Boston?
Yeah.
Come on, man. What happened? Yeah, Fred's old co-host is now, I think, doing the morning show at Chris Tyler's station there in Boston. Because, his old morning show, one of the guys died or something. It's all musical chairs in this business, baby. But, I mean, that was, from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He's talking to Bill Walton.
Luke Walton was a player.
Yes.
Not a coach.
Yeah, he was playing for the Lakers when they beat the Celtics.
Didn't go that way.
No, it did not. But as a player, All right, let me talk to Viggo Mortenson.
More than 6, but fewer than 10 minutes. With somebody on the phone.
All right, Viggo Mortenson is great in everything. He's a multiple-time Oscar nominee, movies like Green Book and The Road and Eastern Promises he got nominated for an Oscar. You can go way back to movies like Witness and beyond that. He's got a new Western that opens on Friday called The Dead Don't Hurt. Viggo, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
So you did everything for this movie, didn't you?
Well, I did it together with other people, but yeah, I was restless. I had to wait several years to find the financing, so I kept trying to do whatever I could, come up with some music, keep working on the script, try to find the right actors to collaborate with, so,
That's the hard part of the whole thing, to be the creative person and I don't know that a lot of people realize, because why would they? The money can be so hard to get.
Yeah, more and more so, especially independent, original kind of stories. And if you want it to be in movie theaters, at least for a little while, it's tough to find someone who will get behind it. But even if it's a Western, like our movie, The Dead Don't Hurt, in a way, it's a classic Western, like the old-fashioned ones. But it's different. It's a different kind of structure than you're used to seeing. It has a woman at the center of it, which is unusual. She's the main character, played by Vicky Creeps. She's a really amazing actress. And it's a different kind of story than you're used to seeing. It starts out as a story you think is going to be a straight revenge story, and it becomes something else more complicated.
Well, it's very sparse, too, which I like. I think back to a lot of maybe the mid-'80s, early '90s Westerns that were being made, big Westerns, right? And they had the casts to go with them. It was stacked with people that you knew and movie stars and things like that. Why do you think Westerns are so enduring?
Well, fortunately for us, in raising the money for The Dead Don't Hurt, in recent years there have been a few miniseries and TV series that were Westerns or sort of like Westerns that have been popular on TV, and that probably helped a little bit to find the money to make this one.
So kind of like the Yellowstone effect, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And Sheridan's work also, certain Westerns he's done. And I don't know, it almost dies, but it never quite goes away. And I think because the Western genre has so many possibilities, you can try very different things. Like I say, our movie, The Dead Don't Hurt, in many ways looks and feels like a classic old Western. It's different in that it has this woman at the center of it. It's also different in that the two lead characters don't have English as their first language. That's quite different. And most importantly, when the man goes away to war, we don't go with him. We stay with her.
Yeah.
And we explore what it is that little girls and women, what do they get up to? How do they survive? What are the consequences for them when their dads and their kids, their brothers, their partners go off to war, sometimes for a long time. Sometimes they die and they don't come back. What do these women do? I mean, I think there were probably a lot of strong women like our Vivian in the West, but people weren't really interested in telling their stories back then. And I just wanted to explore that.
Was it easy to slip into a Danish character for you, or was there more work that had to be done than we might expect, people knowing your background?
No, it was sort of late in the game that in pre-production that I ended up taking the role on, just because we had someone else who was, for months, who was going to play the role, and he decided to go off and do something else, and I had to kind of scramble. Couldn't find someone to replace him that was that age and type and acceptable to the producers, name enough or something. And so I said, well, I can do it. I just got to make sure Vicky's cool with that, and I'll have to change the character. He'll be a little older now, and I thought, okay, well, let me take the easy route. He's supposed to be Scandinavian. I'll make him specifically Danish.
Right.
I know the language. I know, obviously my dad, my grandfather, aunts, uncles, cousins, I mean, I know I've lived there also and worked in Denmark, so I could capture sort of some of the characters' clumsiness, his sense of humor, his sense of right and wrong.
So this didn't begin with you being on camera and playing the main role. This began with you writing it and directing it.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, just judging on the films that I've seen you and enjoyed you in, there seems to be no appeal to you at all for playing characters that are pretty simple on the page. I can't recall a role you've played that wasn't a complicated person to get into.
I think you can do that with any role, I mean, there's two things I always do when I first get a script and I know I'm going to be doing this job. I ask myself first, what happened before page one? And you can spend the rest of your life imagining what the upbringing is like. How did they get to that point in the story of their life? And the other thing is when he's described, let's say, as he's a perfect gentleman, or he's a bad guy, or he's shouting all the time. I always ask myself, however he's described and however he speaks, when is he not that way? Because we all have contradictions, and you can always find layers to any character you're given to play. So I think that's first and foremost the director's responsibility to encourage that, but it's also the director's responsibility to offer that up for the director. Layers, contradictions for the character.
Do you read anymore, or are you lucky enough to people go, we need a Viggo Mortenson type, and if we can get him, all the better?
It depends. Sometimes there's something that, I might read something and say, oh, I'd love to play that character. I've never done that. And they might say, I don't see that at all, and then I do have to go in and meet and show them, But other times it happens the other way, where directors say, well, I want you to play this role, and you think you're crazy. I don't think I'm right for that. I mean, that just a couple examples would have been, Pete Farrelly when he said, oh, I want you to play this Italian-American guy, Tony Lip in Green Book. Or when David Cronenberg said, I want you to play Sigmund Freud in A Dangerous Method, I thought they were crazy. I thought, nah, I mean, I'm flattered that you think I can do that, but I think you should find someone else. But fortunately, I listened to them because they insisted, and in both those cases, I had a great experience.
Do you care about stuff like Oscars? I know you've gotten a handful of nominations, Green Book being one of them, but is that anything that matters to you? I know the reflexive answer is no for a lot of actors, but there's probably a part of you that goes, well, it'll be nice. I've been doing this a long time.
Of course it's flattering, but it's kind of a crapshoot. What I really think about them, nominations and awards, I want people to see the movies that I make.
Yeah.
And when someone gets nominated, whether it's makeup and hair or whether it's, an actor and actress or a screenwriter, any nomination, any attention that a movie gets in that sense is going to help, is going to encourage people, oh, maybe I should go see that. I heard it was nominated for something. That's really the main thing I think about. Otherwise, I don't think about it. And I would never go to one of those ceremonies unless I was nominated. But some people do like that. They like the social aspect of it. And that's fine. Everybody's different. I don't have anything against it. I see it as a potential tool. It's great when it happens. It does help people go see the movie, encourage them, and that's all I really pay attention to.
I took the holiday weekend, and it's to watch The Dead Don't Hurt, and it's fantastic. Viggo Mortenson directs this. He wrote it. He's in it. It's called The Dead Don't Hurt. It is in theaters everywhere this Friday. I hope people go see it. Thank you so much for your time, man. I'm a big fan. Good luck with this film.
Thank you very much.
More than 6, but fewer than 10 minutes.